So after the last games of the fourth day of groups have now concluded and the first week of the classical world tournament has ended, we have a few more games to recap. Starting today we had G2 versus TL, Morde, Ornn and Shen, Bands versus Impact, TF, Camille, Lucian, not really target picks, but strong overall champions as such that are banned. Renekton first pick. Yeah, report. You can't really do that. So many counters. It's just so damn greedy. Yes, and as such, Wooly and Graves are picked to punish exactly this. In response to that, Nidalee and Ashe are picked up 42. They now need an AD mid laner and have a top and mid game focus. Kalista for tactical. It's also a good champion against the enemies, and he's very comfortable with it. Leona and Syndra, good bands, good champs, work well with Team Liquid's already picked champions. Syndra also great with Graves. Tam Pantheon to set up Kalista, a strong lane, and to diminish Mickey X roaming potential. Then the pick phase set for KoJJ, also a good partner for Kalista, able to disrupt stuff of G2's champions. Alistair Jace, the AD mid they needed, and more poke additional early and mid-game power. Also, Alistair, a very safe support for bot lane, and able to offer the engage the comp was lacking till then. Lastly, Orianna for Jensen. She has good ball carriers, scales very nicely, and is actually able to be okay in mid if the player skill gap is not too huge. TL focus more on late game, G2 more early and mid game, with little means in later stages of the game. TL then is able to establish great leads from level 1, G2 getting some picks but never in the lead. Slowly but surely TL stacks Drakes, and with G2 getting caught right before Soul Drake spawn next to Baron, TL is able to secure both and sets up a 4k lead with the outscaling team comp and is able to ride that wave to the victory line, getting revenge for last year's MSI. So, following that we have Machi and Suning. Ornn, Graves, Renekton, not really target bans but prioritized picks from the team. TF, Camille, Lucian, similarly good picks for Suning but mostly meta picks. First pick Nidalee, indicating an AD top laner. Ashe, Wooly. On the other side, Wooly is not blind pickable, but Ashe is safe in most cases. Jax, Syndra, AD for top, a counter pick against the Volibear, and a major AP threat. Many strong picks for the different game states, and also maybe picking it away from Mission, who had really great performance on the champ. Shen for PK, a soft counter, showing that it is in fact Volibear jungle. Then we see some Akali Kassadin bans to protect Syndra. Not sure if Mission actually plays these champions. But yeah, Leona and Senna ban against Sunig's bot lane standard. Azir then for Machi, AP damage that was missing in their comp and more scaling. Ezreal Bard, safe mid-game bot lane, great roaming for Sword Art. Overall rather fitting for their goals. Lastly, Rakan, some more engage and a good matchup against Bard. Suning playing more for the early top mid pressure, then wants to carry that into the late game with some split pushing. They're not really looking for team fights, maybe some skirmishes on item completions, but yeah, they want to stretch the map more. Unless, right, they're like 10k ahead, then they can do what they want. Machi, more for team fighting, more for skirmishes, with their ultimate abilities. Also scales quite nicely. Woli Shen play around top quite effectively. And that's what we see in the game, setting Jax to an O2, slowing down his late game and split push threat. But in mid lane, Angel is solo winning, solo killing, and establishing a good CS lead. After a failed dive in the bot lane, even Jax, TPing bot there, is getting back into the game. Machi, aggressive start to snowball, but sadly for them, they miss execution on many points, and this costs them dearly, enabling Suning to get back into the game, getting Jax online, and then riding their wave of their comp, um, generating game-winning leads. And then at the end, as I indicated before, they are not even playing to the split push, but with such a great lead, they can even out teamfight Machi. So Suning getting on board, securing another win for them. Now in Group D, we see Dragon X versus FlyQuest, Syndra, Woli, and Renekton against PoE and Solo respectively, Lucian, TF Nidalee, some against Pyostik, a bit against Chovy, but also again meta picks. Caitlyn first has some counters, but a very strong dominant laner, so it's an okay pick, I'd say. Ashe and Graves are the response. Ashe is completely fine into Caitlyn. Graves is the best AD jungler at the moment, and also picking it away from Peanut, additionally enabling a strong AP mid, like for example Syndra. Kindred, the next AD jungler in line, and looks for carrier. Peanut also a very strong Kindred player, single-handedly raising her win rate in the playing stage. On very strong then, and safe in many matchups, additional more late game potential. Blitz and Nautilus bans against Ignore, so there are target bans against him. Camille Silas against Doran and Chovy. In some leaked scrims, Chovy was playing Silas quite frequently and was really doing well. So yeah, that's maybe an insider ban. Pantheon then support for Igna, not really that great into the range bullies of Dragon X, but at level 6 and depending on the lane state, even at level 2 or 4, he can use his point and click stun with Ashe to engage on the squishies and kill one of them. Maokai Zoe then picked up on Dragon X side. Maokai strong win rate in solo queue, quite decent champion, scales well and his ult is really nice. Zoe overall a strong mid game champion, also very strong pick for Chovy respectively. Yeah, also she fills the power hole for Caitlyn, and depending on the game stat even for Kindred, right? So Dragon X has champions which excel in the different stages of the game, functioning as bridges for the others. Dragon X overall though, more mid-game, some scaling potential. Teamfight isn't as great, but it's okay-ish. They're going for more lane pressure champions and lane kingdom style. Dragon X, even though they lose some lives in the early stages, cause they have their better laners and better players, they are able to get CS leads and more plates than the enemy team, which enables them to get an early lead about 2k gold. FlyQuest on the other side is looking for plays, right, just playing to their comp, having secured 3 Drakes, but then even against the good teamfight comp from FlyQuest, Dragon X is out teamfighting them on the most important dragon spawns, getting the Drake and afterwards the Baron. Now Caitlyn then in the later stages getting online with the lead. Her power turf was rather short. Dragon X is just going over FlyQuest with little means to stop them. FlyQuest was trying, right, the means in their team comp, but Dragon X was so far ahead and quite honestly playing individually way better than their counterparts. Um, yeah, bad team fights for FlyQuest at some points as well. They weren't playing perfectly, and Dragon X outplaying curses a Dragon X victory in the end. Moving on to the next game of the group, TES versus UL. Some target bans against the UL players, Swain, Kassadin, and Renekton. Nidalee, Kate, Ashe, power picks that you don't want your enemies to have. We see Lucian first, a standard prioritized pick. He needs an AP jungler, and CC would be also very great. Syndra, Camille. Syndra not that great into Lucian, honestly, and she wants an AD jungler. Camille is a good top laner though, has some counter picks, but outscales many of her opponents. Gragas Jax then on the other side. Gragas offers the CC and is also an AP jungler, but not one of the very high carrying potential. Jax does fairly well into Camille, and if played correctly can beat her in the game stages coming. But also with the champions TS now elected, Lucian, Gragas, and Jax, they have many tools for the further stages in the draft and also for their game plan. Very smart draft, I have to say. Karthus then picked up for UL, maybe jungle, but also could go into the bot lane for UL. Gadget already played it in the play-ins. Twitch Alistair ban, good in general, but especially against UL. Santas and Gadget played both of them. Leona Pantheon against Yuyanja, focusing on a more safer bot lane. A small indication that Karthus might have been planned for the bot lane all along. A Nautilus pick follows. Maybe taking it away from Yuyanja is my guess in this case. Sanatam Kench for TS, going for someone more safer, with more top mid focus for their overall team comp and game plan. Lastly, a Lee Sin counterpick in brackets for UL, not good into any or most of the TS pings. Works good with his AD carry in bot and mid lane because of the damage share, and then he's also somewhat of a bridge champion for the more scaling reliant champions on his team. Strangely though, another AD mid lane AD jungler like Graves was still open. Yeah, maybe he should have been more prioritized for UL. TS able to scale and split push, but also have some mid-game skirmishing abilities. UL similar ideas, but looks more for the team fights than TS does. Also very heavy on the AP damage side, while TS on the other side has a strong AD focus in their champions. Allergic, able to provide his team early pressure, getting some picks and good kicks in the mid and top lane, giving them CS leads respectively. And yeah, on the other side, the bot lane and Casa though getting ahead individually, and then through mid-game team fights where TES champions are really excelling, they are establishing their leads further and further, and then well, winning some fights here and there, getting some picks. Knight Lucian able to pop off in the mid-game team fight. Yeah, it's just the standard procedure we have seen many times in this world right now, where a team with mid-game champions gets ahead and then snowballs quite nicely and flawlessly. So yeah, this is the group D now. Moving on to group C, we start with Fnatic Gen.G, Kalista Set TF against the bot lane of Gen.G respectively, Lucian Thresh Eve, target bans against Fnatic members. On first pick, very smart. Again, a very strong pick, even though he's counterable. He offers very much, even though he's set behind. On the other side, we see Renekton Nidalee into the on pick, This is very arrogant and greedy from Genji's side, and it's very easy to be punished. Yeah, this is not great. They just say we smash you regardless. Not sure if this is a plan someone should ever do. Graves Senna then picked up on Fnatic's side. They need an AP mage now, and Graves is quite decent into Nidalee, farming up a storm, also scaling better than the Nidalee, who will not be really accelerated because, well, she can bully on, well, like she could another top laner. Pantheon Ezreal on the other side picked up for Ruler, and yeah, Nautilus against Hilly, Syndra against the Graves. In the ban phase, on the other side, Pantheon Karma against Life. Then for him, Rakans quickly pick up is some of the engage their comp needs, right? Renekton and Nidalee in the jungle and top position don't offer any engage at all. Leona Ori, more frontlining and the AP damage Fnatic needed, some wombo comboing and teamfighting, also very nice. Lastly, Azir, a great main champion for BDD, additionally more AP for their team comp. Right, Nidalee is not really that great of an AP threat. It is also more scaling through the mid lane. Fnatic, although once more late game teamfights, they want items on their Orianna and levels on their own. Genji on the other side, with their top lane, they want mid-game skirmishes and finish fast. Fnatic with an early heavy punish on Ruler and Life's greediness. Life wasn't taking flash and went for an Ignite Exhaust with Summoner Spellbook, which was punished at level 1 and 4 respectively, killing them 4 times in 5 minutes, which enabled the other lanes of Fnatic some breathing room, right? The pressure was centered there, and Nidalee wasn't really able to play around top lane, respectively. Riding that wave, Fnatic was playing on top then, with the bot lead, enabling Hilly to gain roaming timers for mid lane and top lane 2v2s and 3v2s. This way, Fnatic was able to establish leads in top and jungle as well, gaining them a 3k gold lead in 12 minutes, with the leads mainly on Reckless and Selfmade, as they were the ones getting the kills and farm leads. Yeah, the scaling team comp is ahead, and the mid-game champions from Genji were quite behind. We can see how this is going now. Even though Genji afterwards was turning up the game, making really valiant punishes onto Fnatic's aggression and punishing them, diving them, even nearly evening out the kill score, but they weren't really able to decrease the gold lead all that much. Additionally, their team comp would need to have a gold lead to function as it was intended. So with a gold lead, they're really far behind. And yeah, this showed in their effectiveness, with Fnatic then even completing items faster than them, getting their passives and item power spikes, resulting in greater leads than the gold lead might indicate. In the game afterwards, it was slowing down quite a bit. But then in the mid lane scramble, both teams looking each other in the eyes, and some Genji members getting picked off. Ending in an unexpected team fight and nearly ace. Fnatic taking the minion wave next to the turrets, finishing the game quite fastly in 27 minutes afterwards. Rather poor performance of Genji at all stages mostly, but it laid mostly in the draft. Coming to the last game, TSM versus LGD. Kindred Nidalee versus Peanut and On. as a power pick band, Lucian Caitlyn TF, just in general counter picks, and the Caitlyn is a pick Doublelift really likes. Graves' first pick indicates an AP mid laner. We know how this goes. Renekton Senna, heavy AD, needing an either strong AP mid and jungle. On the other side, Shen LeBlanc, the AP needed, and with these picks indicating the mid-game focus for their team. Lilia then rounding up LGD's side, the AP jungler as expected, right? Leona Silas, some mid and support bans, nothing special, and the other side was banning some AD carries like Jhin. Orianna then picked for Xie, quite okay. No real great ball carriers yet, but scaling and protecting quite good for the Senna. Ezreal, Bard, safe bot lane, strong mid game power spikes. Yeah, quite good pickup here. And lastly, Nautilus for Mark, rounding up LGD's team comp. TSM though, wanting to fight early and mid game, snowballing their LeBlanc mainly. LGD on the other side has some bridge champions for the early mid, but want to scale more into some team fights and skirmishes. Not really about that 5v5, but with their superior scaling, even this would be quite okay for them. TSM playing to their comp very aggressively, securing a bunch of kills, but rotating many members of that team to the different lanes and fights, resulting in LGD getting more CS and pushes, resulting in turret plates as well. And then also TSM is not playing completely perfect, so they have some mishaps here and there in their aggressive plays, which are also punished, resulting in an LGD early lead. After the explosive early game, the game slows down quite a bit, resulting in some Drake takes and trades. TSM is actually able to steal the Soul Drake, but losing most of their lives in the process. After some Baron dance, LGD gets a great fight with Bjerg's not able to do anything, and then yeah, after the one fight, I think it was even an ace, yeah, they're finishing the game. Nothing too spectacular after the early game, in which TSM showed quite creative plays, but they weren't perfectly executed, and often they pulled too many members. Yeah, so they had some good ideas, but they weren't able to complete what they planned out, and yeah, lost the game in the end. By the way, for this last game, Infinity Edge on Senna is not a good idea. Senna scales not greatly with Infinity Edge and crit in general, as she gets free crit for her passive, and yeah, so do not buy this, especially if the enemy team has no armor. Lethality items are then just better, not only because of the damage, but also because of the utility, right? The Humus Ghostblade with the active for more movement speed, or Edge of Night with the passive shield. So, with the last game now talked over, we're going for some standings. Yeah, Group A, G2 and Suning in first, Marchi and TL in third. Group B, nothing has changed. Down first, JDG second, Rogue third, PSG fourth. Group C, we have a three-way tie for first, Fnatic, Gen.G and LGD. And then last, fourth place TSM. In Group D, TS undefeated in first, Dragon X in second, FlyQuest in third, and UWell in fourth. Now, this concludes the recap of the last day of the classical first week, where we have these mixed days, right? Games out of every group. Now, in the following days, we will get games of each group respectively, finishing up each group with every following day. So yeah, that's it. Wish you all great day, and yeah, see you then when Worlds will continue.